tracks were recorded in stereo, but by the time we finished, everything was in mono. They've done some interesting stereo remixes on the Pet Sounds album, but the vocals, you know, they weren't really recorded in stereo. They were just recorded in mono and double track. I prefer to listen to the mono and not the stereo, because Brian had very little hearing in one of his ears, so he had to listen and mix and decide to, you know, what the final mix was, and 99% of it was in mono. And I think that this, though the stereo mixes are intriguing, they don't have the dynamic sound that the monos do. You know, other people came in and remixed it in stereo in later years. You know, and yeah, of course there would be a great market to hear it in stereo, but I'm a mono guy in Beach Boys land, because I only heard the hits on the radio in mono. You know, there was no stereo radio or anything then. I don't really think that that's true about the band. I think the band, they trusted Brian and he made great tracks. I think we were more of one mind than you would think. I mean, we all have pretty good ears, you know, and we're smart enough to know there's a song on top of those tracks to come, you know, and it always does work out with Brian in those days. I just think Brian probably had a lot going on in his life, and maybe Tony Asher was around full time and could articulate what was going on in Brian's mind. I don't want to say it was an accidental concept album, but you know, Brian had his healthy competition with the Beatles and just kind of ended up with this concept album. Well, I think when you listen to it, instead of all this teenage stuff, you realize that somebody's singing about life being a lot more complicated than high school. I really do believe that in relationships. And he's probably getting Tony to write down what he might emotionally not be able to write down lyrically. And, you know, hopefully, selfishly, he uses Pet Sounds to express himself, you know, and get it out in the open, whatever's bothering him and what he wants to fix. It's just a cool album, lyrically, for me.